welcome back to Clever Writer by Heather, where we encourage you to dream big, create stories that inspire others. Today we're going to learn about some of those pitfalls that can sometimes hang us up in our writing when it comes to grammar traps. We're going to teach you how to spot them and avoid them. That way you can write your stories that convey those messages for your readers so they understand exactly what you want to say in your story writing. In my previous videos, we had looked at where to start the period after a sentence, whether it was one space or two, before we begin the next sentence. And we also looked at where to put periods when you're using brackets, and also in quotations and abbreviations. We even looked at differentiating the difference between a homonym, homophone, and a homograph. We also looked at the history behind why we use one space after a period. If you want to go deeper in those topics, I invite you to click the subscribe button up top and click the bell. That way you can stay updated on my latest videos and all of my writing tips. Okay, let's get into why we're here today. Words that are similar and have different rules of when to use them, it can be a little confusing. Like, how do we know when to use who versus whom, or whoever versus whomever? What's the difference between the two? And what are the rules in using them? Have you ever been in conversation with a group of people and they start to drop whom and whomever all sprinkled throughout the conversation? And as you stand there and listen to them talk, you think, wow, how sophisticated they sound. And then you wish you could sound that sophisticated? Okay, but how do you know if they're even using those groups of words correctly? I mean, it sounds so good to the ear, we almost don't even care, do we, if it's used correctly or not? Well, if writing is our business, we better make sure that we are using those groups of words correctly in our storytelling, especially if we want to book contract with a publishing agent or a publishing house. Stick around, and I will teach you how to spot and to avoid this all too common confusion. But before we get into our teaching today, let's grab some writing inspiration from American novelist, journalist, and social activist Jack London. And he said, "You can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with the club." Inspiration is just not going to come knocking on your door. No, it's just not. If you have a dream to be an author and you want to be published, you're going to have to get up and go after your dream. Don't let your current circumstances get in the way. Just get up, learn your skills, and get on with your writing. It took me years to realize my dream. I had to shift careers and learn a whole different conversational domain in the publishing industry. In my 40s, yeah, it would have been great if I graduated from college and had a signed book contract from some reputable publishing company, but I wasn't afforded that. And that didn't stop me. So there's just no excuse for not going after your dream. Doubting your ability to write, or drowning in debt, or merely surviving your current situation are just not good reasons to not try your hand at writing, or going after your dream as a published author. Really, just learn the skills that you need to learn and just get on with writing. It's that simple. You can do this. Okay, let's get into why we're here today and looking to spot and avoid those grammar traps that can sometimes hang us up in our writing. Before we learn to differentiate when to use who versus whom or whoever versus whomever, we need to understand these words' relationship as pronouns. Logically, we would ask, what are pronouns? A pronoun is a word that's used in place of a noun or a noun phrase, like he, she, or it, in place of Toby, Carly, or the cat. The word pronoun can be broken down to mean for, or in place of, and name. The pronoun is a stand-in word for another noun. This means you can use pronouns instead of repeating a person's name. For example, Carly went to the library and to Carly's writing studio and then back to Carly's house. We would write instead, Carly went to the library and to her writing studio and then back to her house. We see here that the pronoun her
took the place of the name Carly. It sounds strange saying Carly 3 times in the previous sentence, doesn't it? This is why we use pronouns in English. There are 3 types of pronouns: subject, object, and possessive. The subject pronouns are used when the pronoun is the subject of the sentence. An example of a subject pronoun would be he. Let's look at the following sentence. He wrote the novel. He is the subject. Object pronouns are in the object part of the sentence and receive the action in the sentence. An example of an object pronoun would be him. Here's an example sentence we can look at. Carly saw him. Him is the direct object of what Carly saw, the action in the sentence. Possessive pronouns refer to things or people that belong to someone. An example of a possessive pronoun is his. Let's look at this in a sentence. Carly tried to take his books. The books belong to a person that is not Carly. It would be a male person, being that the pronoun his was used in the sentence. Okay, now that we understand how pronouns work, let's get to know when to use who versus whom and whoever versus whomever in our writing. Who refers to the subject of a sentence, and whom refers to the object of a verb or preposition. Here is a writing tip for you to consider. Use the pronouns he and him to help you know when to use who versus whom in your writing. Are you ready? He equals who, him equals whom. See how both these words end in M? That's another trick to help you get around this grammar trap. Let's look at this example. Whom should I vote for in the class election? Now, if we know he equals whom, and we know that whom ends in M, we could ask the question another way. Should I vote for him? So whom is correct in the example sentence? Whom should I vote for in the class election? Now let's look at whoever versus whomever. Here's another writing tip. Who, whoever are in relationship to the pronouns he and she. Whom and whomever are in relationship to the pronouns him and her. We're going to use the pronouns she and her to help us know when to use whoever versus whomever in our writing. She equals whoever, her equals whomever. Which sentence sounds correct? Give the ballot to her, or give the ballot to she. Now, if we know her equals whomever, we could ask the question another way. Should I give the ballot to her? So we can replace her with whomever in the sentence. Give the ballot to whomever. These writing tips are just a few ways to help you get clearer on when to use who versus whom and whoever versus whomever in your creative writing.
Well, I hope this really helped you out today to learn how to spot those pitfalls that can sometimes hang us up in our writing. So today we learned how to differentiate when to use who versus whom and whoever versus whomever. We even looked at the relationships of those words to pronouns. Now leave a comment below if any of this helped you out today. And remember the inspiration that we gleaned from the American novelist Jack London. You can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club. Remember, inspiration is just not going to come knocking on your door. You're going to have to get up and go after your dream. Learn the skills that you need and get on with writing. Okay, until next time, happy writing.